welcome back. So today we're talking a little bit about routing x32 into Live Professor. It's pretty straightforward. We're basically going to be taking a digital output from the card, the audio interface on the x32 that interfaces with the computer, and we're going to send it into the computer and send it back out to the x32, just like you would a standard insert on any old console. The trick with the x32 is that you are sort of stymied by routing blocks. And what do I mean by that? I'll get back to set up a section. I mean that you are stymied in that you can't just send an input to an output. You have to do it in these sort of blocks of 8. And if I'm going to use an insert, I have either the option to use an insert, one of the onboard effects as an insert, or the aux inputs and outputs as an insert. So if you come here to routing, that means on my card output, I have to send aux outputs to my card as well as have aux inputs come from my card, which seems silly because then you're losing an entire routing block, entire 8 channels. You're losing 2 channels for having just an aux remap. I've done this just now just so that I can send my monitoring path out for the video recording so that it's audible. But I would normally have that set to this B section here, 1 through 8, because that'll be the SD8. So the card is taking all of the stuff from the S16. So the S16 is going to be coming in 25 through 32, 33 through 40. This is the local inputs on the x32 rack. So that's going to be drums, bass. This is going to be vocals, keyboards, guitars, and then speaker outputs. Those are going to the card directly. So 1 through 8 is going to be S16 1 through 8, and I've got my vocal 1, 2, 3, and 4 on inputs 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've only just got the one mic plugged in right now. But that's important to know because you'll see that what I've done is I'm taking the input. So there's my S16 1, that's my mic. And I'm taking it in 1 in Live Professor, and you kind of have to come in here and make sure you've got your audio interface selected and set your sample rate and your buffer size. And then activate some inputs and outputs. I would suggest only activating however many you need to keep things running smoothly. I'm pretty sure they do tax the system when you have open inputs and outputs because it has to think about what they might be doing. And you'll see that I'm coming in 1 and going out 3. Now that's not entirely intuitive, but I've found that if you're also using any kind of DAW playback, like I want to play iTunes or something from the computer back to the x32 console, 1 and 2 typically tend to be the default playback. And in my show, I know that's been the case. So like I'll use Ableton Live for certain cues or something somebody wants me to play. And so that leaves me 4 other ones. So I just start at 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's all I needed for this show. And that corresponds to the card output that I've got here. So that's going 3, and then 4, 5, and 6, all the way down. And that's pretty much it. Now I've got signal in, I've got signal out. There's a couple of things I do want to mention. So slight inconvenience when you're looking at card input. You'll see that, and I'm going to reposition this mic because I'm starting to get some echo. You'll see that you only have access to trim. I no longer have access to phantom power or the input gain. That's where understanding your routing becomes important because you're going to have to go to setup. And I know that 25 through 32 AES-A, 25 through 32, that's my S16. Here's going to be my rack 1 through 16, S16, 1 through 16, and then nothing on 41 through 48. So there's my, this should be my mic right now. I'm going to adjust this gain. Check, 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 check. Yep, that's it. So, yep, 40, whatever, 39, there we go. Yeah. You'll have to go there for your preamp stuff. Slightly inconvenient, but once you have your gain staging set, you're not really going there anyway. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about too, oh, if you're on Dante, excuse me, when you're running Live Professor, you do also want to make sure that in your setup, mixer, there we go. Make sure that you're synchronizing to your expansion card, so that the clock that the Live Professor is using for return is synchronizing properly with the console. Otherwise, you will get pops and clicks. And they're just not good for speakers, so don't do it. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that if you're not using Snippets, use Snippets. So x32 Core has 4 user assignable buttons on it and 2 knobs. I use those for various things. So I've made 2 snippets here. I've got one that says no DSP and DSP on. And all this really is a routing shift. So it quickly switches from looking to the card for input for this vocal mic to looking directly to the S16 for the same thing. And you can see that the compression is vastly different, and my voice sounds a lot different. And that's because I haven't really done anything to match those things yet, but that's a real easy fix. I just need to go back into my compression settings here. I haven't really messed around with these much, but probably somewhere in the, might have been, yeah, there we go. A little bit quieter, a little bit more muffled. I'll need to adjust those compression settings and see if I can't make that a little brighter. But you'll see that I had in my scope, so my scenes, my cues, source and scribble. So all it really did was it shifted the config from, it was the card, now it's A26, and you'll see there's my preamp stuff there. And it only looked to those 4 channels. It didn't touch anything else. Oh, I see I've got some stray DCAs I need to fix. So just channels 1 through 4. No, there's no DSP. Now if I go to DSP on, yes. There we go. Nice and bright. It has shifted again to the card, and you can see that it also turned my compressor off. And that's because I've got that compressor running in Live Professor. So yeah, do always make sure you give yourself a kill switch. I've found it to be pretty robust as far as software goes, but you do never know if you're going to have a crash or power outage or something like that, and just need to get out of there in a hurry.